Welcome to Growleap Academy, the podcast that helps high achievers reclaim their rhythm, sharpen their clarity, and discover why slowing down might just be their most powerful move forward.
And welcome. Yeah, we've been really digging into the research and the thinking around this topic. It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. And what jumps out immediately is this. Well, this paradox, isn't it? This deep belief that faster is always better.
Always. If you're not speeding up, you're falling behind. That's the narrative.
It's such a core assumption in, well, pretty much modern life.
Yeah.
And looking at this, it seems like that very idea that progress needs constant acceleration might actually be what's holding us back, what's keeping people stuck.
Exactly. What if that feeling of being stuck or behind isn't about not being fast enough? What if it's actually about moving too fast?
Because speed without direction, well, you're just spinning your wheels, right?
Yeah.
Going nowhere fast.
So our mission in this deep dive really is to unpack that whole urgency thing, the constant pressure, how it messes with our peace of mind, sure, but also our actual results.
And then the important part, showing how slowing down isn't about giving up. Not at all. It's more strategic. It's about getting back control, finding a rhythm that's calmer, more powerful, more effective, ultimately.
Right. So let's start at the beginning. Why do we even feel this constant need for speed? Where does it come from?
Well, it seems like it starts really early. Think back to school, speed gets linked to being smart.
Oh, definitely. Finish the test first. You're the clever one.
Answer right away in class. You're sharp. Get your homework done early, high achiever. It conditions us from day one.
And that sticks, doesn't it? It just changes shape in adulthood, productivity metrics, hustle culture.
All those slogans. Move fast and break things. Time is money. You snooze, you lose.
Yeah. And
Wow.
the effect is slowing down feels wrong. It feels like you're being lazy or wasting time, a personal failing almost.
Like you're just not cutting it if you pause.
It builds this internal pressure.
Like-
Makes you feel less capable if you're not constantly pushing the accelerator.
Which leads to a pretty critical question, actually. Who really benefits from you being in this constant state of urgency? Who gains when you move so fast you barely think?
Yes. The tough question. Because, a lot of systems, parts of the economy, they kind of thrive on our exhaustion, on that perpetual rush.
Makes sense. The faster you move, the less time you have to stop and ask questions to evaluate what you're doing or why.
Or who it's really serving. And the less you question.
The more you consume. More tools, more quick fixes, more advice, anything to manage the pressure that the speed itself creates.
Exactly. Speed gets sold as the answer, promising efficiency, but it rarely delivers, real depth or satisfaction. And that's the trap.
That's it right there, the rushing trap. Because when you're stuck in that mode,
You're always on the surface. There's just no room, no mental bandwidth to dig deeper, to get real clarity on complex things.
no time for ideas to simmer, to refine them, to see the nuances you miss when you just grab the first thought.
And definitely no quiet space to hear your intuition. That little voice only pipes up when the external noise dies down, right?
So the result,
Yeah,
we end up solving the wrong problems,
right.
just faster.
Right. Or getting really efficient at tasks that maybe didn't even need doing.
Saying yes to everything instantly without really thinking it through, reacting instead of choosing.
And we know where that leads for a lot of high achievers. Burnout,
Yeah.
hitting a wall.
Or that creative block you just can't push through. Or missing a huge opportunity because you were too swamped with the urgent stuff.
That's the real tragedy, isn't it? People often don't see the pattern until something breaks, until they're forced to stop.
That breakdown moment, that painful pause that finally makes you ask, what was I actually chasing with all this frantic speed?
And when it gets quiet enough to hear the answer, it's usually not more time.
No. It's something deeper, isn't it? Validation, maybe? Certainty. That feeling of being in control.
But speed doesn't actually give you control. It just gives you motion. And that motion, well, it's a great distraction.
A distraction from maybe heading in completely the wrong direction, just very, very efficiently.
Like that GPS analogy. If the map's wrong, flooring it, it just gets you lost faster, way further down the wrong road.
It flips the whole thing on its head. Maybe the real risk isn't pausing. Maybe the real danger is rushing through a life you didn't consciously choose, driven by pressures you never stopped to examine.
And this isn't about being lazy or complacent. Let's be clear on that. It's about awareness.
Yeah, just being awake enough to ask, is this speed helping me right now? Is it moving me towards what matters? Or is it just noise, a distraction?
Because rushing feels like progress. It feels like getting ahead. But often, it's the very thing pulling you away from where you truly want to go.
Which brings us to how this speed, Well, it doesn't actually guarantee results.
Yeah.
Often, it guarantees chaos.
That's the illusion we need to break. Speed equals progress. Not necessarily. Often, speed equals scattered energy.
Think about a time you were really in that mental rush mode, not just busy, but rushed. Mind racing, trying to juggle 10 things.
Yeah, that foot-tapping, cutting people off feeling.
Exactly. Now, honestly, were you at your best then? Was your thinking clear? Were your decisions precise? Did you feel deeply connected to the work or the person?
Almost certainly not. It feels frantic, like you're spinning plates. High energy? Maybe, but low focus, low quality.
Precisely. Because when you're in rush mode, your brain literally functions differently. Decisions get shallower.
The survival brain kicks in, right? React first, think later. You grab the first answer, not necessarily the best one.
And your work becomes purely reactive. You're just bouncing from one demand to the next. Emails, messages, interruptions. You're fast, but you're not leading. You're just keeping up.
Constantly playing catch-up to an external beat, and you totally lose your own internal rhythm.
Jumping between tasks, no smooth transitions. Your mind feels hyper-alert, but you can't get any real traction, which explains why you can work crazy long hours.
And feel like you accomplish absolutely nothing meaningful at the end of the day. In there.
And your nervous system pays a heavy price for all this, that constant speed. It reads as stress, chronic stress.
And chronic stress is a clarity killer. Cortisol floods the system.
Right, and that messes with your executive function, your ability to make complex decisions, manage emotions, keep sight of the big picture, all the stuff you need for high-level work.
So the irony is, the faster and harder you push in that state, the worse your performance can actually get, especially for anything complex, creative, or needing emotional intelligence.
It's like that analogy, trying to write a beautiful poem while sprinting full tilt on a treadmill.
Yeah, the effort's huge, the motion's fast, but the state you need, impossible in that context.
Now, obviously, we're not saying all speed is bad. Sometimes urgency is necessary, deadlines are real, action is needed.
Of course, it's the difference between that necessary urgency and chronic urgency. That constant internal pressure cooker feeling, that drive to rush even when there's no real fire.
Because that chronic state isn't strategy. It's just a low-grade panic response running in the background all the time.
And panic doesn't produce great work, does it? It leads to shortcuts, mistakes, sloppiness.
And then second-guessing everything afterwards because you know you rushed it.
So it loops back to that paradox. The most effective path to real, sustained progress. It's not about blindly pushing harder or faster. It's about finding your optimal pace, your rhythm, and learning to actually honor it.
Okay, so if rushing creates chaos, what happens when you intentionally slow down? This is where it gets really interesting. It creates the conditions for flow.
Flow, that state we all recognize when we're in it. And it's not passive, like just going with the flow.
No, it's that deep focus state, right? Totally immersed, engaged, effective. Time just disappears.
You forget your phone exists, you lose track of time in a great conversation, that creative spark just ignites. It feels effortless, even when the work is challenging.
And that peak state, that zone,
Yeah.
seems like it's only really available when you step out of the relentless rush.
There's that great tactical phrase, slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Let that sink in. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
The logic is so simple, but powerful. Slowing down allows for smoothness, steady hands, calm decisions, clean execution, fewer errors.
Right. And when you're moving smoothly, without the frantic energy, you naturally become efficient. Speed emerges, but it's graceful, it's precise, it's not forced.
True speed, the kind that delivers consistent quality and momentum you can sustain, it comes from that flowing state, not from frantic, anxious effort.
So how does slowing down actually achieve this? Well, first, it gives you space. Space to actually see clearly.
Instead of just reacting to what's right in front of you.
You can step back, notice patterns, spot the gaps others miss because they're moving too fast. Engage your strategic thinking.
You start doing the right thing, not just the next thing.
And it massively improves precision. Moving with intention means fewer mistakes, less rework, higher quality output.
Which, ironically, often means you finish faster in the long run because you're not constantly backtracking to fix things that went wrong because you rushed.
And creativity. Rushing feels like trying to think inside a tiny, noisy box. Slowing down opens that space up.
Allows for that mental quiet where new ideas can actually surface. Big insights rarely arrive when your mind's going a mile a minute. They come in the pauses.
And maybe most fundamentally, it helps you reconnect with your own natural rhythm. We all have one, right? An internal cadence where we do our best work, make our best decisions, connects most deeply.
Yeah, like an optimal operating frequency.
Yeah.
And when you respect that, when you align with it, you stop wasting so much energy fighting yourself,
Yeah.
which is exhausting.
So just to be really clear, slowing down isn't about doing less. It's about doing things smarter, more aligned, more effectively, from a place of presence.
Like learning to swim.
Yeah.
Thrashing wildly gets you nowhere and burns you out. Moving smoothly with the water, that's where the effortless glide comes from.
It's a great image. And it makes you wonder. If you constantly feel behind, maybe it's not that you're too slow. Maybe you've just never given yourself permission to find and settle into your actual rhythm.
And that rhythm, once you find it, that's your sustainable edge, your secret weapon.
Now, we get it. For high achievers, this whole idea can feel scary. Like you'll lose your edge, fall behind, lose momentum.
It's a legitimate fear in our culture. But let's be really clear. Intentional slowing down isn't about giving up ambition. It's about mastering it, directing it wisely.
I mean, what's the point of running flat out if you're headed in the wrong direction? What good is momentum if it's taking you further away from where you want to be?
Intentional slowing doesn't kill your drive. It focuses it. Like aiming a powerful laser instead of spraying energy everywhere with a fire hose.
So the big question is how? How do you actually do this? How do you slow down when everything screams faster?
Okay, let's get practical. There are 5 key ways highlighted to cultivate this intentional slowness without losing your progress.
Number 1, shift from thinking about time to thinking about energy.
This is huge. We're so conditioned to measure productivity in hours. But the real currency isn't time. You can't get more of that. It's energy.
You can't buy more energy. You can't fake it when it's gone. Productivity plummets when energy crashes, no matter how many hours are left on the clock.
So if you frame it that way, slowing down isn't wasting time. It's investing in your most critical resource, conserving energy instead of leaking it constantly through rushing and fragmentation.
So start asking, what drains me? What genuinely restores me? And begin even in small ways to build your day around managing your energy, not just your schedule. Quality often goes up without adding hours.
Okay, number 2. Anchor your day with intentional moments.
You don't need to become a monk. It's about weaving in small pockets of presence. A few minutes of quiet before diving into the day. A real pause midday. A brief check-in before bed.
These aren't luxuries. They're like vital breathers for your nervous system. They stop that relentless pressure from building up unchecked.
Try this. Before any big task, important email, key meeting, complex project, just pause. One deep breath. Ask, what's my real intention here? That single pause can save hours of wasted effort down the line.
Number 3, reconnect with your inner rhythm, not just external pressure.
This one's deep. Speed that comes from outside crushing deadlines, comparison, expectations, that's the fast track to burnout.
But speed that emerges from within, from your own readiness, your clarity, your natural flow, that's sustainable. That delivers results without breaking you.
Slowing down lets you hear that inner rhythm again. It tells you when to push, when to pause, when to sprint, when to recover.
It guides you on when to say yes, and maybe more importantly, when to say not yet or no, because it doesn't align with your internal timing or energy. It's about syncing with you, not just proving something externally.
Number 4, protect deep work zones like sacred ground.
If you want flow, momentum, real results, you absolutely have to guard your ability to focus deeply.
Slowing down enables this. It lets you carve out dedicated, uninterrupted time for high-quality concentration. Deep work.
This means boundaries. Turning off notifications ruthlessly. Blocking specific focus time, maybe those first couple of hours. Saying no to meetings that fragment your day. Giving yourself permission not to be instantly available.
When you operate from that deep clarity, the output, even if it feels slower moment to moment, consistently outperforms the scattered results of constant hustle.
And finally, number 5, let your nervous system lead the way.
This is subtle but so important. Your body knows. It tells you when you're forcing it.
That tightness in your shoulders, short breath, restlessness. That's your system saying, hey, something's off. You're pushing too hard against the grain.
Slowing down lets you tune into that feedback. Your nervous system becomes your guide.
Feel ease, deep breath, presence. You're in your zone. Feel that urgency, panic, pressure. You've drifted. The invitation is to follow the calm. That's where your real power, your true edge is actually found.
So pulling all this together, there's a really liberating truth here, especially if you've felt caught in that hamster wheel.
And the truth is this. You're not behind. You've just been moving too fast to see where you actually are.
You know that feeling, the blur of days, checking boxes, reacting to pings, rushing to keep up, and losing your sense of direction in the process.
But seeing that, recognizing that pattern, it doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you're ready for a reset, a recalibration.
Because this is the great paradox of growth we keep coming back to. Slowing down isn't falling behind, it's actually catching up.
Catching up with yourself, with what you truly value, with your intuition, your energy, the things that matter that you've been too busy rushing past to even feel.
When you consciously choose to slow down, you reclaim your most vital tools. Your eyes to see clearly, your mind to think deeply, your breath to ground you, your power to choose your path.
And when you have those back, you're not just reacting anymore, you're choosing.
You're not hustling to prove something, you're moving with purpose because you feel it.
You're not leading from urgency and stress, you're leading from clarity. And that's where true effectiveness lies.
Which leads us to a practical way to start playing with these ideas, an invocation. We're calling it your Slow Power Challenge. 5 days, 5 simple practices designed for real change.
And please hear this. It's not more homework, not more pressure. It's an invitation to experiment, to recalibrate, to feel yourself again, to shift from running to arriving.
These practices are deliberately simple, but they work. They help interrupt the spin cycle and let you consciously repoint your compass. Okay, here are the 5 days.
Day 1 is morning stillness. Before the phone, before email, before go mode kicks in. Just 5 or 10 minutes of silence. Just sit, breathe, and ask, what do I actually need today? Not just to do, but to feel. The aim is to start the day with intentional energy, not reactive urgency.
Day 2 is one-screen focus. Pick one important task, just one, and do it start to finish with no screen switching, no new tabs, no notifications, 0. Notice that itch to jump, to rush, to distract, and just gently bring yourself back. This rebuilds your focus muscle.
Day 3 is the slow yes practice. Today, before you say yes to anything, meeting, favor, message, project, pause. 5 full seconds. Breathe, ask. Does this truly align with where I want to go, with my energy, with my priorities right now? Then answer. This rebuilds boundaries and breaks that autopilot yes.
Day 4 is the midday unplug ritual. Just 15 minutes, sometime around the middle of your day, completely disconnect. No screens, no scrolling, no noise if possible. Walk, stretch, sit with a notebook, just breathe. Reconnect with your body, reset your rhythm, interrupt the frantic momentum.
Day 5 is the evening clarity scan. Before bed, take maybe 5 minutes. Reflect. Where did I rush today out of habit? Where did I manage to move with presence? What felt different emotionally, physically in those present moments? Close the day with awareness, not just accumulated tension.
Just try these for 5 days. Approach it with curiosity, not pressure. See what it feels like to be rooted, to be present in your own life again.
Because the real edge, the real power, it isn't about being faster than everyone else. It's about being clearer, more intentional, more aligned with you than you were yesterday.
This challenge is a practical system recalibration, especially if you feel scattered, rushed, like you're spinning your wheels. It's a chance to pause, step off the treadmill, and repoint your compass.
And after 5 days, you'll likely feel calmer, yes, but also more in command, more rooted, more focused, more awake. Remember, slowing down isn't going soft, it's going sharp. Choosing your path with eyes wide open.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Growleap Academy. We hope it offered not just a pause, but a turning point. If today's message helped you see the power of presence, pass it on. Share it with someone who's been moving too fast to feel their progress. Until next time, keep breathing, stay aware, and move with purpose.
And maybe just ponder this as you go about your week, especially if you try the challenge. What really becomes possible when you shift your trust away from external pressure and towards your own inner rhythm? What insights, what creativity, what connections might emerge if you just gave yourself permission to be fully present instead of always racing ahead?